Okay, thank you everyone. Thanks, Jan. So my name is Akhil Jp. I'm one of the co-founders at Pulse Energy. During the session, I'll kind of give you an insight into what are the open networks that you can build for energy transition. Now, I'll walk you through the reasoning behind why do we need to do this. So just before we get started, I'll just give you a context on what Pulse Energy is. So we are one of the largest EV charger aggregators in India right now. We've done about 2 gigawatts of energy transactions a month, which equivalent to, I just checked the pricing of electricity charging in France, it's about 69 euros, 0.69 euros. That's close to 1.7 million euros a month of transactions is what we facilitate through our network. So we've been operational for about 2 years, so thank you. There's about 20,000 chargers on our network. I'll start with the problem statement, right? Why open networks? Why focus on it? And all of the business is built on open networks. So if I have to truly look at, if we as a population need to look at hitting net zero, we need to get to 2 billion vehicles. This might be 2040, 2050, whatever the target is. Today we are just at 14 million vehicles on street globally. Now, of that consumption, if I just look at how much of that energy consumption is happening on renewables, it's a very small percent, right? Like obviously Norway has exceeded beyond 100%, but rest of the countries are still sort of 30%, 40% share. How do you increase this? And that's where the root of this problem starts. None of these energy systems are connected to speak to each other. They're not aware what are the surface areas that can generate energy and what are the supply or demand sides that can consume that energy. They're not aware, they don't have any context of each other. So that's where when you start looking at, you zoom into that problem, you see this. So you have the grid on top, then you have your chargers, that's the blue ones here, that's the chargers over there, then you have the vehicles, the distributed energy system. So you have battery packs sitting on solar, residential solar with battery packs. All of them are speaking in a siloed manner to your grid. Very simple. None of them have context of each other. So what does this equate to? Thousands of residential solar batteries of green energy getting wasted. 10,000 of chargers literally still dispensing coal-generated energy. And this is the situation here in India, right? So how do you solve for this? And this is just one part of this problem, right? Like this is just the EV charging problem. Now, this gets amplified. Today, and this is data from a model that we have, where we look at all the fleet companies. So we work with Uber. Uber is the largest customer. So Uber green cabs run on this open network that we have created. The first one that's on top, the blue chart, is essentially them charging at depots. That's the fleet parking spaces. That's where they have chargers. So you can see at midnight, that's when they keep on charging. Now, an interesting thing is happening with vehicles. All these vehicles are essentially the manufacturers telling these fleets, you don't have to do that slow charging setup because it's expensive. You need a large parking space. You need to set up all of these power sockets. It's expensive. Why don't you start relying on public infra? So that you can continuously charge your vehicle on public chargers, on fast chargers. Like Tesla is the only OEM that has sort of tested that out, where you don't see a degradation in the battery, but now vehicles are coming in that category. What does that mean? That means all of these vehicles, and that's what the second graph looks like. You can see the small green colored graph with the charts that were there on the top, that's now become more amplified. So your destination charging, your public infra, everyone's going to go look at charging at a public station. And this is going to happen as batteries evolve, as vehicles evolve. So now the problem gets even worse. So now you have lack of interconnected network systems, energy systems. Your vehicles are going to consume energy from chargers like it's a petrol pump. So how do you solve for this? And this goes back to what Anirban just said, which is we have to move away from a platform-driven ecosystem, which is isolated ecosystems, to an open network paradigm. This is where you're making everything aware of each other. What I'll do is I'll just roll a tape on how this works today for Uber. This is something that we did. So this is, again, if you can play the clip. Yeah. You can mute the volume if you want. Can you mute it? So as I'm going through this, right, so this is, again, as Jan was saying, we had a pilot of this WhatsApp demo 2 years back. This is what is in reality. This is a Uber driver literally searching for chargers. He can type in the fleet operator that he's working with, and he shares his location, and it immediately starts searching nearby chargers and starts sending them what are the information. So he's confirming the location. It's a 2-minute long video, so just be a little patient with me. But what's going to show, what they're going to see here is now all the chargers that is in here. Now, why I said cashless and why it's highlighted, before us, these drivers used to go pay at those charging stations through their own pocket. Now what we've done is, since it's an open network, we help orchestrate it. We collect the money from the fleet operator directly. Drivers don't need to pay. We get it from them. So now they've got the Google Map location, they've gone to the station. And this is the most interesting part, and a lot of folks look at this and they're like, okay, it's that simple, because I don't know if anyone has used a charging app in Europe or in London. I have. It's horrible, it's a nightmare. So something like this, if you can enable it over WhatsApp, and right now the 1 million euro worth of transactions, that's all happening through WhatsApp itself. So this is again, the drivers reach the station, they're sharing their location, they're confirming the location now. So what's going to happen here is we're doing a triangulation between which charger they're standing in front of, what's the vehicle that's been assigned to them, what's the telematics of the vehicle, and you can see the SOC of the vehicle is also being pulled. So we're doing like a 3-way triangulation and ensuring, is this driver ready to charge? Can I allow him to charge? We do all of those security checks as well behind the scenes. If he's not entitled to charge, we disallow them. We just say you can't charge anymore. And he just plugs the connector in. We just told him, plug the connector in. And all he needs to do is just click one button that says gun is connected. So he just does that, and the charging gets started. And this is, again, just to give you an idea of how an open network can simplify a very complex operation. Because there's multiple things going on here. Like we're measuring if this vehicle should be fast charged. Because we have all the access to the fleet data, we are checking, hey, this vehicle has been slow charged only once, should it even be fast charged now? Because it might impact the battery health. So we abstract all of that complexity, access an open network of chargers, make the payment, make that happen. So that's the idea. I'll pause here. So this is sort of that's what we do. That's what Pulse Energy does. We're importing some of these models into Europe as well. So we've started conversation in Europe, and there is one project in the US and in Australia. So it's, again, in the fleet electrification space, accessing energy systems through open networks. I'll plant another seed. I got 10 seconds. This is the next pilot. So 2 years back, I came back, I showed you the WhatsApp bot. You have a bunch of residential solar set up across Bangalore. They all have battery packs. There is enough or surplus battery in those residential solar battery packs sitting at homes. And all these chargers today, we are getting coal energy. The idea is through unified energy interface, which is the open network for energy, we want to essentially do peer-to-peer trading. So whenever you plug your vehicle into the charger, it'll automatically start pulling in from the battery packs there. Again, it's all an accounting framework, but the electrons that gets pushed will be classified as green. And that's the idea. So maybe in the next ICT forum, I'll probably show you how this works at scale. And I just want to end with this. Again, it's an open forum. You can go to the website, uealliance.org, sign up. I would really encourage everyone to do this. Because again, as I said, I should start from the beginning. If we truly want to go to net zero, we need to have our energy network systems speaking to each other. If it doesn't, we're not going to accomplish what we are trying to accomplish. So thank you so much, guys. Bye.